Hello, my loves. Elsie here to give you a new moon reading. We have a new moon coming up in Leo on the 28th. So I thought I would come here and share some energy, what I'm feeling in around us here. We're usually already in that new moon energy by now, usually a week in, I think, or 2 weeks in. Look, I'm not your astrologer. Y'all know that. I only get what I read and listen to on YouTube. So it is what it is. But what I do know about this moon, what I have learned about this new moon is being a new moon in Leo as the sun moves into Leo. Happy birthday, dear Leo, by the way. And the thing that I'm getting from it here is that it is confidence amid the chaos. So there are going to be some tough placements here. And I feel like it is, you know, since we've gotten through Cancer season, which was quite emotional, I know it was for me, and I feel like once we're done with being emotionally drained, here comes Leo new moon. And, you know, to Leo, all the world is a stage. And so I feel like a lot of things are going to be brought to you that you hadn't seen before. A lot of things will come to you, and you'll be able to see things that you didn't see before, but understand that there are a lot of planetary aspects that are going to be in the way. It's going to be a bumpy ride all the way through. I am not your astrologer, so please find one either on YouTube or maybe just do some reading on it. I'm going to start with Moonology. Let's do this. Let's see what's coming, what sort of energies are coming up for the new moon. The new moon. New moons are hard on my energy, for sure. Been feeling it coming for a bit. All right, what do we got? We've got work through your fears, which kind of goes along with the whole theme of confidence in the chaos, right? It says new moon in Scorpio. And then we have conclusions are within reach, full moon eclipse. So I feel as though for some of you, that we are looking at, and I say some of you because we're still in a general reading, understand, right? That we have some things that are coming to the surface. You could have it could have something to do with the Scorpio. Doesn't have to, but the fact that we're throwing a card here that says full moon eclipse tells me that things are coming to an end. So there are going to be some things that are coming to an end. Things that you will eclipse from your life, perhaps end and let them go. If it's a person, place, thing, job, whatever it is for you, it says here conclusions are within reach. So work through your fears because conclusions are within reach. I feel like the new moon is giving us a chance to look at aspects in our lives that have been scaring us, steps we didn't want to take forward that made us nervous. But y'all, I encourage you, feel the fear, but walk through it anyway. There will be a reward on the other side. Conclusions are within reach. Just going to take one of these cards, Denise Lynn, Sacred Traveler. Which direction are we going in here? We're crossing bridges. Okay, interesting. It says it's time for healing, connecting, mending, and releasing. So I feel as though that, yeah, it kind of goes along with the energies that I'm feeling here. It's time for healing and connecting. It says conclusions are within reach. It's time to either mend or release, right? We were just talking about that. Some of you will decide to mend, you'll work through it, and some of you will decide to release. All right. Let's see what's up here. This is an all signs reading, so please look out for your own sign. And hopefully you're looking out for all three, at least your sun, moon, and rising. If you don't know your natal chart, you should go look it up. Maybe I'll post some helpful stuff in the community for you. All right, here we go. Tell us what's up for the new moon. 28th of July, 2002. For some of you, it's going to be money. For some of you, it'll be communication. Communication about relationship, possibly. Maybe the ending, right? We're eclipsing the ending of a relationship. So you can move forward to a soulmate, or maybe you're ending a relationship with someone who you feel is your soulmate. We've got the World card, and that's some pretty stuck energy, right? That's heavy duty fixed energy, right? That's Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, and Scorpio. That's never looking back. We did pull the card that mentioned Scorpio here. Feeling the fear and walking through it anyway is very much a Scorpio thing, but I feel as though there's an ending to a relationship here. That some communication caused the ending of a marriage, or a stable sort of, well, if it's over, it's not really stable, but you know what I mean, some foundational family, or you called yourselves a family, or you were together for a long time, a while. Yeah. It might have to do with money and talks about money. I feel like in some cases, some of you are going to close the door on this relationship and not look back. And it is, as I said, this new moon is about finding the confidence in the chaos. And that's what this looks like here. It looks like being confident enough to speak your truth, to get the clarity, to ask the hard questions, to answer the hard questions, because don't forget, swords are two-edged, right? They're double-edged. They can cut you, they can cut the other person. I feel like there is a conversation that's opened up. I just did the sneak peek for the week, and the Capricorn reading was kind of like that. It's about, you know, you didn't want to say anything because you're scared of losing somebody, but sometimes the loss just clears energy for other things. I feel like this is what's going on for some of you, that somebody speaks up, needs some clarity, which leads to, you know, clarity about this relationship. What's going on in this relationship? And I think what the conclusion ends up being is that this relationship is eclipsed. I feel like it comes to an end. The world ends. The World card slams the door, right? We're talking about chapters and not cycles. The chapter is done. It's a very big change. It's a divorce. It's a relationship of, you know, 3, 4, 5, 10 years. A relationship you thought was going to be forever ends up ending. If we're talking about a relationship, I think we are. We're talking about some sort of a family union or family relationship. I feel like you've known this person for a long time. For some of you, it's someone that you've known. Maybe you married them straight out of school. Maybe it's a childhood sweetheart, and that's why you thought that they would be around forever. Someone that you thought that you knew on the inside and out, but I honestly feel like it includes children as well. It's affecting kids. And I feel as though that for some of you, you've realized that, you know, it's not necessarily, you know, just because you have a label, just because you call them a soulmate, just because you call them a twin flame, just because you have a label for them, it doesn't mean that the relationship is going to last forever. And that's the truth. It doesn't matter if they're a soulmate. I feel like somebody here, we could be talking about Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, but of course we've got all the fixed signs here as well. And I feel like it starts out as a conversation about money and stability and grounding, and maybe it's time not to spend as much money. It almost feels like it's a conversation that opens up about the abundance of a family or a couple or a situation like that. And it ends up being closed. It ends up closing. Yeah. Got victory here on the bottom of the deck. Victory after an ending and starts a new beginning. And that's what I was saying, right? That's what I was saying, that sometimes what happens is the universe throws you the World card, ends something, so something else can begin. But before you can invite some other energy into your life, you have to clear out other energies. And I feel like somebody, to me, this does represent the home, or going home, or finding home, and this has come to an end, so something new can begin. I feel like sometimes if we fight that energy, that it ends up being incredibly toxic, and it carries on in a toxic way. If we don't allow it or listen to it, and this isn't for all of you. Understand, it is a general reading, right? It's not for everybody, so that's not going to affect all of you. Where are we going? Okay. Charlie says the Kipper. Let's take a look. Charlie just said it was meant to end. So for some of you, it was meant to end. Someone was lying to you. Somebody was stepping outside this marriage and lying to you. They were working hard on trying to keep themselves hidden or trying to keep their face hidden. They were wearing a mask. And I feel as though the conversation or the communication or the clarity or the truth that is spoken leads to this. Leads to, you were lying to me. There's a false person involved here. Card number 8 is, 8 to me is putting in the hard work on something, but I feel like in this case, somebody was really putting in the hard work to not divulge who they really were, or that maybe they were stepping outside the marriage, or, whatever it ends up being. I think it's a good thing though. Like, I never think that the end of anything is a good thing. So please don't misunderstand me. What I'm saying is I feel as though it says great fortune, which is also card number 8, which is interesting. 8 and 8, right? Those are infinity signs. And although I feel like you're always going to have love for this person, I feel like it feels like Charlie said it always should have ended, like it never was meant to be forever, which tells me that if this was a soulmate, this soulmate was brought to your life and you were to learn lessons from them. The great fortune is, I feel, what follows when this thing ends, when you clear the energy that you no longer need, or the stagnant energy that's no longer working. It's time to cross the bridge. And I feel like the great fortune is the bridge, right? It's time for healing, connecting, mending, and releasing. So whether that means that you release somebody or not, we've got the eclipse card here. Feel the fear and walk through it anyway. Be brave enough to walk away from the community if you have to. The thing is when you're in a relationship, you get to know your person's people and they get to know your people. And that really does create a community. And so I feel like that you'll take some of these people with you from this community. And, okay, it might be a work community as well. So I feel as though that it could be someone that you knew from work, or you work with, or work together with, or met at work, or in a work situation. This person could have been your boss. Because the toil and labor is the person who is the person who's making the least money for the hardest work. And I feel like with card number 11 tells me that you were meant to meet them there. So you were meant to meet them in a situation where there was a lot of hard work going on. You could have been volunteering. You could have been building a house for the needy. You could have been, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't necessarily have to be a workplace, but it could be someplace where you were into toil and labor. And I feel like that your community was a work community, or a community that worked really hard. I feel like you end up keeping some of that community, but on some of them you're closing the door. And that's just the way it ends up being in terms of, when you're getting out of a relationship, right? You end up losing some, you end up keeping some, but when it comes to people divorcing or being in a relationship that's tough, sometimes people just don't want to deal in your drama and they cut themselves away. People truly just don't know how to act. They don't know how to act in that situation, especially in a long-term relationship. I was married 20 years, felt all of that. Yeah, I feel like when this ends, I almost feel like it was holding you back or holding you down. And I feel like when this ends, that when it ends in a terrible way, a terribly painful way, because of this Ace of Swords. There's also a 10 of Swords in the bottom of this card here. 10 of Spades is a 10 of Swords. I feel like when you break away from this situation, for those of you who are deciding to break away, I feel like you raise your vibration with card number 3, which of course in the major arcana is the Empress energy, and it's about this card is about lifting yourself above the clouds. I feel like sometimes we get into a situation in relationships where we stay there because we think we should and not because we want to. It might be because of the children. It might be because of the finances or the money or what we've collected in material wealth. And, you know, it is what it is. We all have to make our choices. I'm not saying whether it's good or bad. But I feel as though if you are the one, unfortunately, who is going through a relationship that is coming to an end, I feel like it's supposed to. And you will be clearing energy for other things. I feel at the end of this, you are far more anchored, that you know your direction, that you are thinking clearer, that you are making better decisions. I feel like there's a lot of emotional things that play into a relationship, right? Sometimes it's guilt, sometimes it's pleasure, sometimes it's money, sometimes it's the thought of, I can't do this to my children. There's a lot of things that play into whether or not a relationship ends up breaking up or not. Yeah, somebody's going to be moving into a new home. And so we have 3 and 4. We have the Emperor and the Empress. We have 2 people, I feel, who end up better off apart than they were ever together. They both end up leveling up, one to the Emperor, one to the Empress. And it was because of the roll of the dice, I feel somebody took a risk and said, you know what, we can't do this to each other anymore because the children are involved, because we're going to wreck our finances. It's time for us to just call it. I don't like these readings. I don't like when I'm dealing with, there's another bridge, by the way. I don't like when I'm dealing with something that's dying. I have a really hard time reading when it's about something that's dying, but understand that things end for a purpose. They end so other things can begin. And I'm not saying that your relationship should end. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying, please don't end your relationship because of a general reading. Please don't do that. This is information that I'm feeling in and around this new moon, and I feel like for some of you it is the end of something, so something else can begin. I'm not saying end your relationship. You will make that decision on your own. But I feel as though we've got a second bridge here. So I feel like it says here, crossing bridges, it's time for healing, connecting, mending, and releasing. And I feel like you are going to bridge this. So I feel like the finances and the children, there is going to be something that is bridged here. In this relationship, I feel like you'll either end up co-parenting really well or supporting each other in your separate lifestyles, something like that. I feel like that it is absolutely not a terrible, horrifying ending, although all endings are tough. They are. That World card, that door stays shut. That chapter ends and you're not going back, because that's all fixed energy. And the fixed energy is when they make a decision, they've been so slow to make that decision. They're so sure about that decision that they don't go back. It's very seldom that they do. Yeah. Tell me about the World card, please. Someone had been thinking about it for a while and didn't want to do it. But I think for the health of the family, I think that it was time to go. I also feel that this person may have had a connection or been feeling a connection with another person. And I'm not saying that this person was cheating. That's not what I'm saying. But we have a Queen and a King of Pentacles. So I have a feeling that somebody realized that they would never be as happy with the person that they were with as they could be if they moved forward. But understand, it didn't happen right away. This person didn't come to this conclusion at the drop of a dime. Card number 12, which is Pisces, right? And it's the Hanged Man, tried to look at it every specific way possible to find out if there was any way to salvage it. And in the end, they decided to go. They had to go to the Two of Wands. They had to make a decision. Twos are always about decisions. Had to make a decision to leave and to go to the crossroads. And, you know, the thing is that I learned is that I didn't only release myself from a relationship, I released my ex so he could be happy. So he could maybe go and explore new things and be happier than he would be with me. And sometimes it's that. Sometimes you're done, but sometimes you have to look at it from the other side, and maybe they're done as well, but they're staying because you're telling them to stay with your energy. Sometimes it's that. Yeah. So I feel like somebody bosses up, somebody takes a risk and decides to leave the community, possibly the work community. For some of you, it could be that you left a job. We're talking about money, right? So for some of you, it could be that we're talking about money and getting clarity about the family. And the other person says, if you quit your job, I'm out. I'm not doing this with you again. And somebody decides to roll the dice anyway. Takes a risk. Puts everything on it. But intuitively knows that it's the right thing to do. 9 and 3 is 12, and that's the number of Pisces. 2 and 1 is 3, and that's about a partnership as well. It may have been the Emperor that pulled the plug, or that pulls the plug. But waited a long time to do it, and it was because of money. It was because of the finances that this person waited and didn't decide to end the relationship right away. I feel like it was we need to do this correctly. We need to both be financially stable. We need to, if we're going to wait, let's wait first before we end this long-term relationship. Because if you're going to be single, and I'm going to be single, let's make sure that the finances are in place so neither one of us has to suffer financially from this. So it almost feels like somebody was very reasonable about the things and the way they went down. Somebody was quite reasonable about how they wanted this all to go down. I feel like it ends up, of course, with people being single, but I feel like it was a manifestation. We have the Empress here, who is the person who is the nurturer, the mother, the one who takes care of the home, the one who loves to do that. She's very well-rounded, and she is the person who is very connected. It could be that somebody ended up getting pregnant, whether it was inside or outside the marriage. But I feel like ultimately it was probably the feminine energy here that decided that I need to manifest more for myself. And it usually kind of is. I think for the most part, it's the women that pull the plug. But I feel as though that the finances were an issue. They were waiting. Had to live together, had to stay together in order to be able to get the finances to work first. The devil energy's here, and it got toxic. It got really, really toxic. Yeah. Well, interesting. Very interesting. Confidence in the chaos. That's what it feels like to me. We're confident we can make this work. We can be co-parents. We don't have to terrorize each other. We don't have to make the family miserable. That's what it feels like. Confidence in the chaos. Anytime a relationship breaks up, it is chaotic. But if you are both bossed up, one is the Emperor, one is the Empress, then I feel as though you're both looking at it from the right point of view. Let's do this so we can both be financially well, because our children are involved. Somebody went through an enlightenment stage here. Could be that one of the two of you follows a path that led you to an enlightenment, which means to me that you took off into your spirituality and you realize that the person you are with, and I'm not saying whether it's you or whether it's them, you can pick that out for yourself, that maybe one was far more enlightened than the other. And that was the one, I think, that called it. New beginnings. Yeah. So that's what it is. And it is what it is, right? It's a new beginning. And sometimes it ends up crashing and burning, and it's terrible, and yelling and screaming and gnashing of teeth. And sometimes two people level up, whether there's cheating or falsities or bad conversation or arguments and fighting, slamming of doors, silence. Sometimes you can bridge it in the enlightenment stage. It's a new beginning, y'all. You don't have to ride it off into the ditch until it crashes. Sometimes it's just time to call it and just say, let's do this in a way that's easiest on all of us, especially the children. And I think that's what's happening here. I feel like there's two very balanced energies that have decided they realize the end. And it's time to enlighten ourselves because we each deserve a new beginning. Yeah. I think that's very, very cool, actually. Yeah, I don't think it's cool that it's breaking up. I never do. I want to thank you for joining me here for this read, and whether it's yours or not, I don't know. But I always come in on chapter 8 of a good 20-chapter book. I never know what's going on. I'm going to go for now. I love you guys. If you're interested in a private reading, if this is your situation, you require more information. I mean, I do have readings that begin at $40. You can look down below. I am doing private readings over at Wizio. Look for the yellow dot. I'm going to go. Love you guys.